Hi, my name is Steven.
It is I, Kevin.
And I am David, the eldest champion.
And we are the Brothers Born.
We invite you to bear witness as this most unlikely a throwdown is about to commence.
Tell me a little bit more about them as a whole, starting with Devastator.
Okay, sounds good. I'll be quick because I know I took a long time before. But so Devastator is the combination of all six of the robots. Devastator, when he's as one big robot, he's very destructive, very powerful. Like he can pretty much, like he has immense power. So, however, like he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, and here's the reason why. Because Devastator apparently can't do anything unless all six parts agree that should be done.
It's troublesome.
Sometimes he can't do anything really complicated because all six parts have to agree quickly and he has to go do it. So when he's Devastator, he basically just destroys, like, annihilates things. So he has sometimes, because of the argument, like even at first, when Devastator was first completed, he didn't work out as well as Shockwave was hoping. So they had to take him out of battle and rework some things. And then he improved as time went on. But because of they don't always agree, that is another thing that adds to his anger and his fury. So it just makes him want to destroy things even more. So there's that. He was actually created by the creation matrix, and I guess they tapped into Optimus Prime's head to get the ideas to create him somehow. So he had, plus one of them used to be an Autobot, so he has like some of the Autobot, whatever. He loves to smash things. As far as weapons, like he's very violent. He destroys anything. Weapons, I'll tell you a little bit about his weapons. In the movie, I guess he has the ability to make black holes with this thing called a vortex grinder, like temporary black holes. And let's see what else. He also has missile launchers. He has lots of guns. He has rocket launchers, and he has these whips on his hands that he can fling around, and then also a grappling hook, which probably came from one of the, when they transformed into vehicle form. So he's able to do a lot. His weapons are very powerful, especially the black hole thing. And he just is very angry all the time and extremely powerful. But however, like he has that going on when he's combined into one, but when they're separate, they have the abilities to do a lot of other things too, and outsmart their opponents and strategize and maneuver and do the other things that you get to get the job done. So I want to say one more thing about just I guess when Devastator was in the movie, they make all these robots and stuff and program them. And just a funny story, I thought the Devastator robot was so complicated that maneuvering it actually melted the computer that they were using, and the computer caught on fire.
For in the movie, you mean?
Yeah, the actual like animatronic, whatever, it caused the computer that was programming it and moving it to catch on fire because it was so complicated, supposedly. But Devastator is just really, really powerful and doesn't really care about anything but destroying stuff. So I guess I'll stop there for now. Go ahead.
All right. Team RWBY.
So RWBY, like before, they're a group of huntsmen or huntresses. And essentially what the huntsman's job is there's these huge, like, just embodiment of evil creatures called Grimm that run around their world. And so these huntsmen are the one that fight them. So they have to learn how to use their weapons and their abilities to fight these weapons. And some of them are fight these monsters, and some of them are pretty intense. Each character kind of has their own customized weapon. They also each have their own what's called a semblance, which is like a superpower, more or less.
Okay, gotcha.
I just want me to get into what these girls are all about here. Did you want me to go into like their weapons and stuff, or are we doing that in a minute?
Yeah, go ahead. David started with talking about his weapons, so yeah.
I have a matrix that creates black holes.
All right, so they don't combine all together into one giant person like Devastator does. They always remain as individuals, and there's four of them, but they work very, very well together, and they use each other's abilities to sort of play off each other. to like enhance each other's strengths and things like that. I'm going to kind of get into each one here. So first we'll go with Ruby, since she is the leader. And so her weapon is the Crescent Rose.
The Crescent Rose.
Which she created herself.
It's just a flower. Okay.
Crescent Rose is both a high-powered sniper rifle, but also a scythe. So it transforms into, like, you've probably seen a picture of her holding this giant red scythe.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
So she has this giant red scythe. This thing is huge, Dave. You should look up this this
Are
thing.
we talking like Sephiroth sword huge or bigger?
No, it's just really big. I don't know. You'd have to see it. I think it's because she's so small. Then she has this giant scythe, but she created the weapon herself, so she has a high degree of intelligence. She was able to do that. So the scythe is, I mean, she's been known to cut like giant grims straight up in half with it. She's removed like people's limbs and stuff with it. And when it's in its rifle configuration, like transforms, she fires like these really powerful like bullets that are infused with dust, which again I'll have to get into that in a little bit. Well, I'll get into now. So dust is like this resource in the world, this natural resource in the world that can be used to produce energy for different things. Each one they usually have some sort of element to attach to them, like fire dust or like the ice dust. And so and in the world they use this stuff to kind of power their machinery, to build things, but they also make weapons out of it. In this case, her bullets are kind of infused with this stuff. It's really complicated.
She's the fire one, right? She's the fire chick. Okay.
No, she's not really a fire chick. It's really hard to like sort of in the short period of time describe how all this works.
Okay, it's okay. Okay. All right, tell me more about the weapons and semblances.
Okay. Well, they usually use the two together. So she'll use her weapon in combination, like using the recoil or fire from the weapon with her semblance to give her like higher rates of speed. All right, so Ruby she actually has two semblances, which in a way, which most characters only have one, but she happens to have two. The first one is her semblance called Petal Burst. And this is a form of gives her an inhuman dashing speed. But it works by her disassembling herself at a molecular level and reassembling herself somewhere else. So kind of like the teleporters in Star Trek.
Devastator takes apart himself too. Wow.
Yeah, but not at a molecular level. So because she's able to move very, very fast, and there's not really things that she was able to objects that are in her way this way. She can actually even if she's holding on to like her friends or whatever, and she does it, and then she can take them with her when she does it.
That's pretty convenient.
So when she turns into like this, you'll see like a cloud of rose petals, and then she like appears somewhere else. It's kind of cool. So that's one of her abilities.
Can she do that at will, like whenever she wants?
Yes.
Okay.
That one she can. She can do Petal Burst anytime she wants. There's no like she doesn't have to power up or anything for it. Her other ability is she has silver eyes. So that in that itself doesn't really make sense. But anyways, silver eyes in this world are a rare trait for individuals. Some who have silver eyes are like descendants of like these legendary warriors that have super powerful abilities within the world. So with her silver eyes, when she activates them, I guess she has the ability to petrify Grim, so she can petrify these monsters or even turn them into dust. However, it's probably the strongest ability that any of the huntresses have. However, unlike her other one, she hasn't really mastered how to use this ability. It kind of really only happens when she's in sort of like a more emotional state and that sort of thing. So she hasn't mastered how to use this ability. She's trying to learn how.
Serious question.
Very, very, very powerful.
You said it petrifies Grim. Does it petrify other things? Because Devastator's not a Grim.
See, I don't know because she hasn't used it that often. Okay. I do know when she did use it, there was an enemy who was not Grim who lost like her eye and like part of her arm.
Okay, so it is effective against non-Grim.
I think it can be.
Devastator has fought Grimlock before.
That's true. I think it can. I think it can be. But like I said, she doesn't have full mastery over it.
All right, tell me about Vice.
All right. So Ice, her weapon,
She.
her weapon is
Where's
the
Mystery?
Martinaster.
The
What,
what?
the master?
I think I'm probably saying that wrong. Yeah, it's
Martinaster.
So, it's a rapier. So it's a type of sword.
Okay.
So she has this rapier, but within the rapier is like the hilt. There's like a 6-chambered round, sort of like a revolver that you would have, and each one of those
Do
6
all
chambered,
these chicks have blade guns? That's what I'm gonna getting from this.
except for one, yes.
Oh man, I mean, Squall would be a good member
So-
of Team RWBY.
So hers, each chamber, she has like a vial of dust in it, and so she can like change what the effects of her attacks based on which one she's using. So if she uses like the fire dust, then her attacks will have like a fire element to it, or if she has another one that will give them kind of like an ice element. She doesn't really use that function that much though, oddly. But yeah, so she's able to enhance her attacks from her sword with them. So they don't fire like a gun, but they enhance the attacks of the sword itself.
Okay.
So let's see what else. Her semblance, though, she kind of has two, but one's sort of a cause of another one. She has glyphs, and so these are just various glyphs that she can create out of energy, I guess. And they can do various things, like can create solid platforms. She's able to create like spears made of like ice spikes out of them.
So she can create matter, is what you're saying.
In a way, it's it's not like matter, but and she can also, the glyphs can also be used to sort of dilate or has a dilution of speed as one of her abilities for that. And then her probably most powerful use of the glyphs is her second ability, which is summoning. So she can summon the avatar of any monster that she's previously defeated.
Oh,
so
significant.
And the monsters take on those same abilities, but they don't necessarily take on the same weaknesses. So she's, she wants to conjure up a dragon. Well, they fought a dragon before, they defeated it. Now she can conjure up a dragon.
Okay.
So if they did win this throwdown, they did win this throwdown, they could conjure up some Transformers.
I don't know, because I don't know if it works with anything other than Grim.
In this situation, assuming RWBY wins this team match, yes, they can conjure Devastator.
I concur. So yeah.
All right. Tell me about Blake Belladonna.
Okay, so Blake.
That name's kind of stupid, by the way. So go ahead.
So like I said, Blake is a fondus. She's a cat fondus. So she has like cat ears. It's kind of funny because there's like a part where like one of the other ones is trying to get her attention, so I use a laser pointer.
Oh, clever.
Oh,
kind of clever.
I can take care of her then.
But they were doing it as a joke. But anyway, so her weapon is a Gamble Shroud.
Gamble Shroud.
Her weapon's kind of weird. So it's a katana.
Okay.
Type weapon.
Katana bazooka. Is that where we're going?
No. But it's like really short. Someone's take it's too short to be a katana, but it's like that style, like a Eastern style weapon, sword. So it's a sword. It goes in the sheath. However, the sheath itself also has a sharpened edge. So when she takes the sword out, now she basically has two weapons.
That seems like dangerous, bro. You're walking around with a sheath that's also a sword.
Her weapon is really kind of odd. She has like this black ribbon that's attached to the back of the sword part.
Yeah.
And with that weapon, she's able to basically use it kind of like a grappling hook. She can like, wrap it around things or like throw it to get it stuck in things and like swing across it, stuff like that. So it's like a blade that's inside of a blade, and the blade that's inside a blade can also be used on a rope to swing around and have a more flexible blade.
But she's a cat, so that sounds kind of like a cat toy to me. Do you think she gets distracted by her weapon a little bit?
In addition to that, when they're together, we transform into like a gun, like a small, like kind of like a submachine gun.
Got it. Yep. Classic blade gun going on over here.
There's a lot of that going on.
I'm just gonna throw some catnip at her, so she's out of the picture. Go ahead.
So her semblance is shadow. What she's able to do is she can create shadows, clones of herself. So They're primarily used as an evasive tool, so she can create a shadow herself and then run away. And the shadow that she creates, like the force that shadow kind of pushes her in the opposite direction, so she's able to like move away quicker from things. And then the shadows will disorient and confuse the enemy, so they think that they're, kind of like an octopus in its ink, I guess. However, when she's working with Weiss, she's able to, who helps there with this, she's able to incorporate dust as an elemental component to her shadows. So, like, let's say she makes a shadow clone with the aid of fire dust. When she goes away, when someone runs into that fire dust clone, then it explodes and burns them.
So she's definitely she's a helper to the others. Like
She can be, yeah.
yeah, gotcha. Okay.
So that's her semblance, which I think is kind of underused in the show. And then last we have Yang.
Tell me about Yang.
So Yang is the only one who doesn't have a bladed weapon. Her weapon is Ember Silica. Ember Silica. I think is what
silica.
So it's a pair of gauntlets that she has wrapped on her arms. That each house like an explosive shot. So she can use the shots like kind of like a gun in of itself, but they're also used to add recoil and to her punches. So basically, the gauntlets are used to intensify her punch, kind of like Jax. When we did Jax, I had like the super punches.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And actually, speaking of Jax, in similarity to that, her semblance is Burn, and she has the ability to store, absorb and store kinetic energy from the hits that she receives. So sure,
Jax
absorbs and stores that kinetic energy, and then she can kind of store it up and then unleash it all at one time in her own attack.
Well, I know
So you punch her.
Jax defeated Inspector Gadget with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, so you punch her a bunch of times, and she gets like angry, and then she like starts glowing and punches somebody back, and then it's like super, super powerful towards them. So that's her ability.
A wise man once said, "Cash rules everything around me. It's all about the money. Dollar bills, y'all." Now, the Brothers Born are definitely not part of the Wu-Tang Clan. But the sentiment, well, it's still true. When it comes down to it, making content that we do can have some costs when it comes to equipment and certain fees. This is where you come in as a listener. No obligation here, but if you do like what we have and you would like to contribute a little bit of funds our way so we can improve our content, there's 3 different tiers of payment which you can use. The first one is a simple, cheap tier of 99 cents. Not too bad. Next tier would be $4.99, or if you're straight ballin', $9.99 for the third tier. Now, there's no obligation here. We're going to do the content either way, but we definitely would appreciate a little help. Thank you in advance, and we look forward to providing more content for you.
Kevin, funny anecdote here. The other day, he's like, "Dude, I just don't think I'm ready for this. I have not really researched at all." I don't know about you, Dave, but it sounds like Kevin's definitely researched.
I feel like I'm taking
He's giving us a thesis over here.
I feel like I'm taking.
I don't want to say I researched it. I mean, I only had 4 characters, but like,
dude, I just went on Transformers Wiki and took all the stuff off of there.
That's all I did. I went to the RWBY Wiki.
All right.
So, but it's an interesting like show, man. There's like so much going on in this world. There's like so much mythology and stuff to it.
All I know is
it really is good.
I hope you paid attention closely, because if I was judging this, I would have to go back and look over all those things that he just said.
There's a lot of information to digest and mix around right now.
Well, yeah, the Mixmaster. Let me tell you one thing though, before you get into it. I'm just going to chunk it down for our listeners. I noticed one of their weapons or things that they did involved a lot of dust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Constructicons, what's dust going to do to them? They're construction workers.
Oh, it's construction dust.
Dust everywhere. So dust is nothing to them.
Well, it's not dust in a traditional.
Remember that.
It's not dust in a traditional sense that dust is. It's like a resource that provides like power and energy.
It's dust. My guys reduce things to dust. So,
well, there you go. So they're just giving ammunition to my team.
All right, Steven. Good luck.
Oh, let's reduce this to rubble and dust. So cool.
Give me just really quick. Tell me this a little bit about how this would play out. Like, there's a lot. You guys both told me about all the things that they can do, but like, combating, how could one affect the other?
Well, my thing is, I feel like it'd be like, I'm assuming Kevin's people, team, whatever, they're not very large in stature, right? They're like
they're
small humans.
normal sized people. They're normal sized.
So Devastator, super powerful, super huge, whatever. But I do think it would be hard to Devastator maneuvering around. I think they would be able to, go all over the place, take whatever. So Devastator might come out to blast his weapons a few times or to try to form a black hole or whatever. But I think a lot of the battle would be my individual robots fighting against these individual.
Probably, yeah.
And Devastator might form, once to take care of a couple major things. But it'd be an easier battle to describe, I guess, if we were separate or part of it, I guess. I don't know.
That makes sense because one of the biggest hurdles for the Gundam episode is he was too big. So too big to mess with Skeletor. But now if you break him down though, so like each Constructicon,
right?
Especially 6 versus 4.
Before we did this podcast, the very first attempt we made where Unicron was fighting, Magikarp were tiny. Unicron's as big as a planet.
That's right.
Magikarp ended up winning somehow, but somehow we made that happen. But yeah, as size wise, I don't think Devastator he'd be there maybe once or twice, but I think the majority of the battle would be with the individual robots. So that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. I agree. I think it would be. So now we have a situation where we have like all the different Constructicons versus the powers of the RWBY's Huntress ladies. So Kevin, answer a little answer that a little bit, Kevin.
Well, if they're taken apart, they have a bit of a number advantage because there's 6 of them and only 4 members of RWBY.
Though, if I'm thinking correctly, it looks like Hook is going to be doing his own thing, just being like the high and mighty guy in the background, bossing him around because he thinks he's like the best. I don't know.
I will say, RWBY works very, very well as a team. Like they play off of each other's abilities. So, for example, Weiss will use one of her glyphs of time distortion so that RWBY can like use that on top of her own ability to speed up to give her like incredibly large speed, capable of speed. So it increases like
that's why I feel like as a giant robot they could do all those things and all over the place, and yet that's why Devastator probably wouldn't come out much.
Yeah,
I feel like like when they're small robots, they're much more intelligent. The Constructicons and their abilities and their skills they play off each other. They can work well together. They don't so they have different.
Answer me this though, okay?
To put together in a battle.
I do feel like for my team,
a little bit I learned from each of you is RWBY is very unified. Like that's their whole shtick, right? Like they go to the academy to become a synergistic team, right?
Yes.
Whereas David, you did say that the Constructicons, unless they're unified, they can't do anything. So there's a little bit, I think, as an effective team, maybe RWBY has the advantage.
Wait, hang on. I said like when they're the giant robot, they can't make a decision unless all 6 of them agree.
Okay.
So
when they're in Devastator 4.
When they're smaller, they can each do their own thing and work together that way.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
And they're a little more, they're more intelligent that way. Like Hook and Mixmaster are really, especially those 2 are very intelligent. Long Haul does the work, the background work that needs done. Bone Crusher and Scrapper, I guess the strength in the operation.
And Scavenger just goes home and cries.
When they all have to agree on something. When they're apart, they work together, but they can each make decisions.
I will say that Mixmaster, I would be interested in what Mixmaster would do with this dust stuff that Team RWBY use, because doesn't he like uses materials around him to like create like different things,
right? Like beat up robot parts, scrap metal, other materials.
Yeah, so it'd be kind of interesting to see what he does with that. That'd be pretty cool.
Could he make robots with the dust?
Robots that have the same ability as the RWBY team? I don't know.
Man,
now, I will say when it comes to giant robots, there is an episode of RWBY where they do fight a giant robot and they do destroy it, largely because of RWBY's ability to like teleport like she does.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that, David. I will say I think it's pretty even match, but that teleportation pedal blast thing that she does, or pedal thing, I don't know what it's called. What's it called? Yeah. Pedal burst. That is something that would be challenging too.
See, here's my thing that I could use to overcome that. I think like Devastator forms, we have the vortex grinder, which creates the black hole. She
Oh,
goes
yeah.
to teleport, she gets sucked off in a black hole. That doesn't sound very appropriate, but she gets taken away in a black hole before she can come back. I think that could be one defense against it. But yeah, I know that would be pretty quick moving back and forth. Whereas Devastator moves, he's powerful, but speed isn't one of his. When he's big, speed's not a skill that he has.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
smaller ones can have a little more speed, but I think the Vortex Grinder could be the only really defense against that when he's big like that.
So Mixmaster sounds like a DJ, and Vortex Grinder sounds like a super sick dubstep piece that he's
So there'd
created.
obviously be some awesome beats. There'd actually be some awesome beats going on in the background during this battle.
Vortex Grinder. Choo!
There's always like good music.
Dude, we got to make this song "Vortex Grinder" by Mixmaster.
About Mixmaster and his Constructicon buddies. All right. This is a tough one. Either of you have a closing argument before I make a decision?
I feel like I agree this is a tough one. I think this is kind of an interesting idea because my characters as individuals against Devastator and Constructicons probably wouldn't last. Maybe RWBY would, but the other three I don't think would. But combining them together, I think is a different story because you have like, Blake who can, make her like these shadow clones and combine dust with them so they can make them very explosive. And you have Ice can summon like these huge monsters that they defeated in the past.
I forgot about the monster summoning ability.
And she can do more than one. Like she can summon several of them at once. So now you got like these huge monsters that are like getting in the mix. And then as long as she doesn't die from getting hit, Yang could store up so much of that energy.
Scrapper would rip apart those monsters.
And like hit it back to them. So I think as a team working together, I think they have a pretty decent chance, especially against Devastator as a whole. Because like David said, he would just be too big.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
I think Devastator would just start the battle off with a massive destructive thing, and then they would separate into the small robots, or the opposite. Like at the end, they'd maybe summon him. I don't know, but
all right, Dave. Closing argument from you.
Let's see. Like obviously, some of the Constructicons, like mine, are built in different ways. They're a lot of the purpose of the Constructicons is more to like build things and create things. They're useful in battle too, and a Transformers battles as a giant robot, because giant robot would be more effective against Optimus Prime, Jazz, and those guys, I guess, than little whatever floating around. So, but most of their power comes when they're in a giant robot form. When they're small, that's where most of the intelligence comes and the tactics would come. I do think like when they're smaller, there's a couple of them. Scrapper, the one who used to be an Autobot, is very powerful, strong. Bone Crusher is as well. But Scavenger doesn't really do much. Unfortunately, I feel bad for the guy.
He just feels sad all day.
And then what's his face? Long Haul wants to do a lot, and he's pretty strong because he carries things everywhere, heavy things, but he doesn't always get used in battle, so maybe he's not as trained in battle individually as the others. Who am I forgetting? And the hook guy, the head, he's smart, but he does take a while to complete things he starts. So I guess if there's a lot of prep before this battle, Hook would be able to come up with some ideas and create them to help with the battle. So it just depends on the circumstances. But I do think that a couple of them would be able to be the muscle, and fight in this battle, while the others were kind of planning and strategizing in the background. I think it's just a strange. I wouldn't have imagined this combination, much like
it's a hard one to put together.
They're like two totally different battle styles, I guess, is what I'm going at. But I don't know. I think depending on the circumstances, I feel like we have the abilities and the weapons to take down. I mean, our weapons, I think, are sheer power, the missile launchers, the rocket launchers, those kind of things. I think
that would definitely be
something they could take down. That would
definitely be something you contend with for sure with RWBY. I think the one thing I will say is, even though she hasn't quite mastered it, if we are at a point where RWBY does use her Silver Eyes ability, I think they got it hands down, because she can just petrify all those robots.
About that Silver Eyes thing. Well, let me write that down. But you said she hadn't mastered it.
So I want to highlight something that David said really quick. I want to do it before I close. So Dave, you have a
One other thing, I thought I wrote something down, but I must have I can't read what I wrote now. I wrote silver eyes, rose petals. I'm like, okay. But I had one other thing. Where'd it go? Oh man, it was the weapons, like their weapons, the swords combined with guns and stuff. I don't think those weapons, like used as normal weapons, would be very effective against the robots, especially the sword. I mean, they're made of metal.
Yeah, no, I will give that to you. I don't think like the weapons when they're like more, with the exception of maybe Yang, because hers is just more of like a power thing, like a punch. Yeah, no, it's the blades and stuff. Yeah, they're not going to do a whole lot against the Constructicons. I agree.
Abilities, on the other hand,
and they combine like the dust with them, so they can make it more powerful in that sense. But it's their semblances that I think will be the hard thing to get past. For
so Steven, the last thing I'll say, Steven, is Vortex Grinder. They're all in a black hole, and I'm Victor. I'm sure that's what you already came up with, but go ahead.
So. Kevin, I love doing the closing arguments.
Teleport out of that black hole
because Kevin
can't teleport out of a black hole. It's scientifically proven. It sucks everything in.
I'm glad I did the closing arguments. Kevin, you brought up a good point about summoning the monsters. The one that can do that's pretty significant. But I also think I like that you established that the weapons on their own would not really do much to the Constructicons.
All right.
Here's before I announce my decision, I do want to highlight something that David said. And David, in discussing Devastator, he used like pronouns like our team, like we, which suggests that David himself considers himself part of Devastator and the Constructicons.
I'm defending him right now. Come on.
So he is part of that team.
He's the construction worker that's part of that team. The guy that holds a sign and waves like cars ahead.
Win or lose, Dave is going down with these guys or going up with these guys. Like I just want to highlight that
the nose or the right ear when they form together. I don't know.
He like identifies with these guys, and like
they're trying to build some robot. They're trying to build some stuff, and there's like traffic everywhere. They're like Davidtron. go take care of traffic. He puts up the orange sign. He starts waving cars across.
Oh, I'd have my hard hat on too. Don't worry about that.
So Dave is part of this team in the lore of this battle, and that is significant to me. All right, my first when you guys first start off.
Wait, can I be part of Team RWBY? But wait, no. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm a 40-year-old old man, and I'd be hanging out with a bunch of teenage girls. That wouldn't be a good look.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That would not be a good look.
We'll scrap that from the record, just like we'll scrap that Hook's junk mix. That Hook's junk moves up and down when he's formed as Devastator.
When you all first started this battle, it's classic good and evil, right? RWBY's the good guys, Devastator's the bad guys. And my gut, when I'm looking at it like morally, I'm Team RWBY. Like, of course they're gonna it's like they're the good guys, gotta destroy this evil thing. But I tried to step back and look at this objectively, and I gotta say, I think Devastator wins. Between he's giant robots, first of all, and when you talked about the weapons not being as effective, the only thing that might change my mind is that pedal burst. I don't know how you deal with that pedal burst, but I think overall,
and summoning monsters.
Yeah, see, I thought about that too, but what's his face can mix and create. He can use the dust and create robots to help him out with. So
allegedly, we didn't say that could for sure happen, but I believe that it could.
So I think it was a tough one, but I think I'm going to go Team Devastator on this one. Sorry, Kevin.
I'm surprised. I thought I lost.
I didn't have strong enough arguments.
Well, but you went so deep though. Like I also wanted you to win, Kevin, because you just put so much work into it. Like I could tell David to he didn't throw it together, but Kevin's been thinking about this.
There's just not as much substance in mine. Like they're just idiot robots for the most part, except for Hook. He's smart, and Mixmaster. But like I don't have as much of integral things as Kevin did. But they don't really exist in my character, in our team.
That's right. And also that was a big part of it too. Like as soon as David was like, he became one of the Constructicons, I'm like, I can't let that go to waste. That's so that like the power of the
I
sheer
don't know
like
about that.
emotion that is that was put into that. I couldn't
Uh,
dismiss that.
Well-
I'm disappointed, but it's all right. I'll accept it.
Dude, I'm on a good streak lately. So that brings me to my stipulation, because this has gone a
Yes.
little long. Listener, we might have to divide this in 2 parts, but because we both had a lot to describe. But my stipulation is a really basic one. Like the one you came up with was well thought out. The one Kevin came up with was a specific weapon. Mine is they have to have the ability to fly. Now, it could be whether it's a natural ability or their suit or whatever they wear helps them fly. It can't be that the only way they can fly is if they're in a plane or a jet or helicopter.
Okay.
They
That's
just
fair.
have to be able to fly. That's all.
What if they are a plane or a jet?
If the person isn't, or I don't want to give away any, but
I'm not going to use it. But let's say like a
Starscream.
transformer, like Starscream.
I know I just thought of
Go
that when you said that.
Fly.
I mean, if that's those things can fly whether they're in jet form or robot form,
That's true.
That's true.
which
enough.
that kind of makes it seem to me counterproductive to make them other than
Maybe
they-
flies faster when
with-
he's a jet, maybe. I don't know.
I guess. No, I know if that's their being, if that's who they are, then I guess that would count. But I'm just talking about like if they have a special jet or plane or a copter that they use to make them fly, but they can't fly without it. They can't use it. But yet if it's like a suit they wear that makes them fly, or a magical ability, or just their natural, whatever their race is that gives them the ability to fly, then they're allowed to do, you're allowed to use them. If
I like
that makes
this.
sense. I don't want to say any names or then I'll take away people.
No,
but
I'm already brewing some stuff up.
think
I
you
like
got
it.
there's a lot of possibilities.
A lot of options.
Yeah,
So,
there are options.
and
Steven?
flying will be the flying has to be part of it. Doesn't all have to be done in the air, but it's going to be part of the throwdown.
Ah, like an aerial.
Like it
attack.
can be on the ground too, but I want part of it to be in the air.
Steven, can we
Yes.
make an agreement
Okay.
real quick? Because we're talking about characters that can fly.
Yes.
And I feel that it would just not be appropriate. Can we both agree not to use Superman?
Oh, of course. I've never. My goal is to never bring Superman unless a listener submits him. He's never going to touch this.
They're going to
podcast.
submit. I still think there's there's characters that could beat Superman. I think
Yeah.
there is.
But yeah, that's totally fine.
Like what about Silver Surfer or
Hey, stop!
Adam
Stop!
Warlock?
Stop
Like
it.
no, these aren't even ones you're going to use for this battle. Like okay, I'll stop. But I feel like there's people that could beat him.
So, oh yeah, I see. I see what you're saying. So,
Sorry, I shouldn't have said any names. But yeah,
I
Superman's
don't
off
want.
the table.
I don't want to represent Superman. Personally, sounds so bad.
Now,
He's all
Clark
right. He's
Kent-
fine. No, it's cool. All right, I'll think of something. Thanks, Dave.
Someone who
Good
can
stipulation.
fly.
Well, this is a good battle, good team match. Enjoyed this. It was kind of long, but I'll figure out a way to shorten it up. But listeners, thanks for sticking through it, and we enjoyed hanging out with you today.
You don't need to shorten it up. I think it'll be all right. I don't know if you want to make like part 1, part 2. Either way, we'll just,
I'd buy us some time.
you could submit them both at the same time if you whatever you want to do.
So the victor is Dave, representing himself and Devastator. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you next time on the Unlikely Throwdowns podcast.
Peace out.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlikely Throwdowns by the Brothers Born Media Group. We had a lot of fun. It was kind of a long one, so we had to cut it in half. But we're excited for David's challenge, characters that can fly. And after that one, we're going to move into some listener submissions. So, if you have an idea of a throwdown, character you want to see battle another character, send us an email at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com. You can also send us messages on our website, brothersbornmedia.com. And we're on Facebook, so you can send us a message that way as well. We would love to hear from you and share some of your ideas. If you haven't done so yet, please give us a review on your podcatcher and tell your friends about Brothers Born Media. We got some other projects in the works, and we can't wait to share it with you and for you to be a part of our community. All right, folks, We'll catch you next time.